All right.
Christmas music.
Yeah, sure. All right. So first one is how often and in what ways do you come in contact with people who have mental health diagnoses at work and or personal life?
Oh, let's see. Well, I'd say in in law enforcement in general, it's on a daily basis. Obviously, mostly
Yeah.
multiple times a day. I've had, I was a patrol supervisor for 3 years, so obviously I had more contact with them in that capacity, and usually through 911 calls, check welfares. Um, and then I also worked 6 years for the deputy and 2 as the sergeant over in narcotics. And I think you'll find that a lot of controlled substance use and mental illness either go hand in hand. One is supplementing the other, and sometimes, specifically with methamphetamine addicts who are no longer addicted to methamphetamine, some of those bipolar symptoms stay with them for
Yep.
life, so we end up dealing with them in crisis even after they've recovered from those substances. So pretty frequently, and I'd say the vast majority of them are through 911 calls from from citizens calling in check welfares and things of the sort.
Okay. So second one is, did you receive any kind of education or training on mental health disorders or diagnosis, and if so, what or who sponsored it, and then was it required or optional?
Okay. Ooh, that's a mouthful.
That's a long one, yeah.
Yes. We going to try to get the Upper Midwest Community Policing Institute. There's another mouthful for you. They had a grant and went around the state a couple years ago with an 8-hour overview for dealing with people with mental illness or in crisis. And so we hosted several classes here and put our entire agency through the 8-hour. And then we have also been sending people to, and I'm not going to know the vendor off the top of my head, but we've been sending people to the 40-hour CIT training.
Yep.
I have 2 detectives at it today, actually.
Oh, okay.
Down in the metro, or over in Maple Grove right now, so I guess that's not really down in the metro, but
Yeah.
and I'd say we've gotten about 50% of the agency through that, focused on patrol for the most part, just because
Yeah.
they tend to deal
Yeah.
with them more. We've also had various speakers come in over the last 3-4 years, with different, more specific topics. Juveniles with autism, how to deal with them. We do have 13 school resource officers
Yep.
in our agency, so that was brought to us by them actually, and a very valuable training that we decided to push out to everybody else. We also do, through the new mandates with the post board, those obviously cover that, and then we have several online courses that every deputy here takes every year through Patrol Online. I'm not sure if that's a program you're aware of
No,
or
not
familiar with, but it's an online training program that we have used for years. We get about 40 hours a year through them, online videos with tests. And there are, I think, currently 7 that fit into that category. Bias is mixed in with that category of classes, so it may only be 5 that are actually mental illness related, but it definitely has been a greater focus on it. We've incorporated a lot more of it into our use of force training, and our use of force instructors also developed a post-approved de-escalation training with a focus on dealing with people with mental illness or in crisis. So everybody goes through that every year as well as one of the use of force blocks. So yeah, a lot of there's been considering there was probably an hour or 2 a year when I started 16 years ago now, to where we are now.
Big improvement.
A huge increase in the amount of hours and the quality of content when it comes to the training in that arena. Is that the entire question, or is there more?
Yeah, that was that one. So then the third one is, what two disorders would you wish to know more about and why?
Ooh, that is a good question. You know, we've kind of run the gamut. I wouldn't say I'm certainly not an expert on any of them.
Yeah.
I found that the training is related specifically to the autism spectrum, just with how much content there could be there. I mean, that could be a 3-day class, and we compile, it gets smashed down into a 4-hour in-person training downstairs. But so probably the autism spectrum would be more helpful, because I think we probably deal with more people on the spectrum than we realize on a daily basis. And maybe if our deputies were a little more in tune to being able to pick those signs up early, not necessarily the telltale signs that the stuff you can cover in a 4-hour training. Maybe the more finite details would be helpful. But really, we haven't had anybody not want to take the trainings. So probably all topics that we would increase on. But when you're pushing 16 to 24 hours a year devoted to that topic right now, it can be pretty daunting trying to get more into the schedule. But yeah, I'd say probably the spectrum would be the number one.
Let's see. So then, how many calls per year do you think the sheriff's office receives regarding mental illness, or like mental health check, or like stuff like that you were saying earlier?
Oh, jeez. Oh, I should have.
Or on average, I guess maybe per month or something like that, or something.
Well,
smaller scale, I guess.
Let's see. I'd almost, without it being able to, readily look up the statistics, I'd say that it's a good number, and I think the percentage is higher than we think it is, because even your run-of-the-mill neighbor, comes to us as a neighborhood dispute. You get there and two neighbors arguing over something that's, seems trivial, may actually be a product of one or the other's mental illness, as opposed to that they're, really that upset that, a fence is 6 inches one way or the other, or somebody parked in front of their house instead of their own, things like that, where I don't know that we don't go back in and recode them that, this was mental illness related. So I'd say it's probably, if you have 5 calls a day, you're looking at, 100 to 150 calls a day times, or 5 calls is whatever. My math is sorry, it's been a long day catching me at the end of a Friday, but
fair enough.
Yeah, it's in the thousands per year. That's for sure.
I believe that.
Even beyond the ones that are actually coded as mental illness calls or suicidals, we probably take at least a suicidal call a day in the county. Whether the person's actually suicidal or not is what has to be determined when the deputies get there. But I'd say we definitely have one per day that's coded that way when it comes into dispatch.
Okay, so how do you typically respond to those type of calls? Or deputies, I guess.
Yeah, you're going to catch me. It's been a long time since I responded to a call, but that is ever evolving for us. We're a county in transition. We're butted right up against the metro, but the way we did things when I came out here 16 years ago and the way we do things now are obviously very different. And through a different lens. So I think there's definitely more awareness, and deputies are more cognizant of, picking through their trainings, picking up those signs that this isn't this may not be what it appears on the surface, I guess, for lack of a better way to bring that up. So, I'd say going through those lower levels of force, show of presence, de-escalating by voice and posture. Certain residences where we have frequent calls, they're flagged